Hello, and welcome to Soul Spa University, your soul's home playground. Today is a very special episode where we have Dream Expert Lisa Buie on with us today, taking on the most awakening questions on dreams. But first, please don't forget to support this content by clicking like and subscribe to help so your soul can find its way back to the spa. Also, being the first to share is a very magical thing and would help this content very much as well. Lisa.
Hello. Hi.
Great to have you.
It is so good to be here. I watch all your videos. This is really fun. I feel like I know you.
So. I love it. I already feel like I know you too, which is weird.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, as I was telling Lisa guys before this, fun fact, as this is on dreams and sleeping, fun fact, ironically, I didn't get any last night. So this will be real fun. In the meantime, Lisa, I always found dreams and sleeping to be so fascinating because we honestly do it at, I feel like, almost half our lives. And it's like no one's talking about it. You literally used to write poems about this. Like, guys, we're literally just laying lateral most of our lives. Why is no one talking about this?
I don't know. If that's why I started this channel, honestly. It seems like nobody's talking about this. I grew up with crazy dreams, and there was nobody there. And then back then, I'm in my 40s. Don't tell anybody now that it's on YouTube. I'm in my 40s. Oh. So when I was younger, Beautiful. There was no internet, there was no Google, no YouTube to go and learn about this stuff. So my first experience with any sort of dreaming was that I found Robert Moss's book, Conscious Dreaming, back in the 90s. And he's literally the only person I ever found that was talking about this stuff. And that was a long time ago before the internet. So yeah, no one's talking. We need to change that. We are talking about it right now, you and I.
Yes, guys, this is a very compelling interview. It's going to be a nice Q&A. I'm going to give her a really interesting thing to decode, and it's going to be just mind-blowing. So Lisa, I always felt that, how you go to work or summer camp or school, and then you go home, right? So I'm always thinking we're just laying there for however many hours. Energy cannot be created, destroyed, only transferred. I always thought we go home, but in order to go home, we go through multiple levels of consciousness. And in order to come back, we go through multiple levels of consciousness. And when we're awakened, that might be what we possibly remember the interpretation of, depending on the level and, us going down and stuff. And I'm just curious what you think.
About dreaming and all the levels of consciousness?
I guess we can start with when we go to sleep. What do you think happens?
Wow. Well, there's so many different stages that we go through. And one of my favorite is the hypnagogic state, where you're just falling asleep and you're conscious enough still, where you are going to remember everything that happens because you're still awake, but you're slipping into that sleep zone. So you haven't hit, I'm not really sure what the science is. It's theta or beta waves. I'm not sure which are deeper, but you haven't hit the real deep ones yet. And so that to me is this major, huge place of magic. And that's actually where you can start walking right into a lucid dream right from that state, if you want to kind of get there. And then as you keep falling asleep, and once you kind of pass that zone, you start to get into the more deeper levels of sleep and of consciousness, I believe. And there's all different kinds of dreams that you can have. But I'm a very multi-dimensional dreamer. So I have a lot of dreams. I come back with a lot of memories of other lives. Or sometimes I'll go to sleep and I'll dream a whole lifetime. I'll go to sleep in my dream, wake up over and over and over, and come back missing people because I just had a life with them. It's really wild.
Wow.
So I think that when we dream, we're tapping into something. I think we're tapping into the multiverse. So, and it just depends on what you remember when you come back. There's a lot of things you can do to try to help yourself remember dreams, exercises you can do. And I think we all go there. I mean, this is just my opinion, obviously. I can't say for sure this is what's happening, but to me, this is my experience.
Yeah.
We all go there. And I think that's our key, like dreams are our key to tapping into that. So that's
Yes.
my humble opinion.
Yes, yes. And that's kind of what I meant, but you said it so beautifully, Lisa.
No.
Between the background and you today, I can't. It's just amazing. Like what kept me going today is, yes, I get to do these interviews. Yes.
Yay.
Yay. But yeah, that's kind of what I meant, because I feel like, you know, we signed up for these limited roles here with this limited consciousness, and you know, we only know so much. And then when we lay down, it's like, you know, consciousness, you know, like survives, you know, energy can't be destroyed. And that's how I feel like we go home, like we tap into like more knowing, and which that's really who we really are, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. And like life is the dream, you know, like who's to say this isn't the dream? And that, because some dreams feel more real than real, especially in that hypnagogic zone, because you're remembering it. I think it's just all a memory thing, what you can remember and what you can't.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like I have a whole video on my channel of like life is a dream. It goes down some rabbit holes that are my favorite topics ever, about like why I think life is a dream and all the proof that I have.
Oh my God. Yes. I cannot wait to check that out. And of course, at the end, guys, we're going to give you her channel. And if you want to plug it right now, no, please go ahead.
Well, it's the Dreamwork Coach. So you can see it on the wall behind me right there.
Oh, that's good.
The YouTube channel is called The Dreamwork Coach. And my website is thedreamworkcoach.com. So pretty simple.
I love it. I love it. God, you know, as you were talking, it was so fascinating, but you really did rob like all 4 of my interviews with you just now. But
oh no, that's okay. I can keep going.
No, it's amazing. Yeah, I knew this was just.
I have a lot more to say.
Yeah, thank God. Yeah, because it's just, I knew this is just the beginning, and you're just so fascinating with this topic. Okay, that's so funny, because guess what? One of my questions was, do you think we enter another reality when we dream?
Yeah. Short answer, yes. Long answer, I just gave it, but yeah, I absolutely. And I think there's multiple realities. You know, it's not just one other reality. It's like tapping into the multiverse. Like I'll tell you later, my biggest dream that I've ever had in my life that changed my life. And it was a dream about the multiverse, like actually being there and feeling what it's like, and like being in that central form of consciousness where you can see everything happening around you. And that dream kind of woke me up and made me realize that like there are multiple realities. It's almost like there's endless, you know, realities, and we can tap into all of them when we're dreaming. Or, you know, like other ways people tap into is like, you know, near-death experiences and out-of-body experience. There's like all kinds of ways, not just through dreaming, that you can tap into that stuff, but dreaming's the safest.
Yeah. We're gonna cover all this for sure. This is amazing.
I mean, there's also drugs, but dreaming is probably the safest.
Oh my God, this is so amazing. Yeah, because you know, I listen to NDEs daily. So I got questions in there about this, because
oh, cool.
All sorts of, oh yeah, we're gonna cover everything.
I'm not aware of that. You'll have to fill me in on that channel or whatever it is.
Oh, the NDE channel?
Yeah.
Oh, there's so many. I'm gonna tell you so many.
Oh, good.
Okay. Now, you know what? I have a question about something you just said, but it's in another interview. So you guys have to tune in for that, because what I'm going to ask her in another interview, which she almost answered here, but we're going to save it, is these people that she's dreamt of, has she ever met in real life? You know?
Good question. We'll save it for later.
Okay, cool.
Teaser.
A teaser. It might be this interview, it might be another one, but guys, we are getting to it. Don't you worry. We're going to cover all things dreams here. Now, what about people that say they don't dream? You know, there's people, they're like, I don't dream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'm a skeptic when people say that. Like, I believe that they believe that, but I don't know that that's the case. I think everyone dreams. I have a feeling everyone dreams. And again, it goes into do they remember or not? I feel like we all have them. I feel like we all go there, you know, but it's just a matter of whether or not you're remembering it. And some people who don't remember dreams may have had some sort of a trauma in the past that prevents them from remembering their dreams. Or if they always had nightmares as a kid, you know, they might not want to dream. They might have always had bad dreams. So they've kind of like how you can train yourself to dream more and certain types of dreams and to remember them better. Some people, I think, subconsciously stifle them. So there are ways that like you can, we call that a dream drought in the Dreamwork circle, when you're not remembering your dreams. And some people have had those dream droughts for their entire lives, you know, like my mom is one of those people that she's remembered dreams, but not like very many of them, not enough to like tell people about her dreams since she was a little kid. And there are ways to kind of break out of that I can get into if you want me to. But there, I mean, that's up to you if you want me to go on that.
Yeah, you can totally get into that.
One of the ways, and I think this helped my mom actually start to remember her dreams, is to kind of realize that we dream while we're awake too. So dreaming is not always just when you're sleeping. You know, like, have you ever gotten weird signs and synchronicities in your wake? I know you have, because I watch your channel. But you know, those like weird signs and synchronicities you get like when you're awake that kind of lead you down a certain path, or something will happen and it deters you and you go a different direction. Those are like waking signs and synchronicities, and you can play games with the universe in order to make those things like show themselves even more. So you can go out into the world, like ask a question, like basically set an intention to the world, like tell me what I need to see today, whatever you want it to be. This is like a daytime daydream kind of game. So ask your question, whatever it is, and then leave the house and take the first 3 things that you see and put them together into like almost like dream symbols that you can then interpret as if they were dream symbols. So also it works the same way as kind of like tarot cards, you know, or a magic 8-ball. Like you're just using whatever comes across your path instead of a tarot deck. And it's actually called Sidewalk Tarot is the name of the game that Robert Moss, you know, created.
Sidewalk.
And that's what you do. Sidewalk Tarot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I was thinking it sounds like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're basically using the world as your tarot cards. And then you take those 3 things and interpret them based on what the question was. And you can get some pretty surprising answers. Some really surprising synchronicities can happen when you're looking for them, actively slowing down and paying attention to what's around you. So that's one of the games that you can play with the universe that kind of helps with I think it helps kind of wake up that side of you that attaches to the dream world, you know, kind of like that magical side of you. So once you start to like tune in that way during the day, it's like, it's almost inevitable that you're going to start tuning in at night without even really trying at that point. So to me, that's my number one thing to say is like play games with the universe during the day and then see if your night dreams start to come in.
And you ask before you leave the house, show me what I need to know. And then you pay attention to the first 3 things you see.
Yeah. And you can make your own parameters. So you can say just the one first thing I see, or the first song on the radio, or you kind of make up your own rules, but you state them out loud or, you know, in your head, like these are the rules of the game so that the universe knows, you know, you have to show me now or I won't be paying attention. And you just play it your way, your own way, and then interpret it like you mean.
I love it.
Yeah, there's one more really simple game you can play too that it's called bibliomancy, where you take any random book that's next to you or whatever you can find. You can even do it online, just scroll through some words somewhere and like flip through a book and kind of like run your fingers across the pages till you just feel intuitively, I want to stop here, and then read what the phrase is. So you do the same thing, you ask a question first, then do that and use that phrase as your answer to your question and interpret it that way.
I love it. I love it. You know, it's so funny. Like the first example is kind of like what I do with angels, or how I have people communicate with angels, which is like, you know, mine's like ask a yes or no question and assign a symbol for yes and a symbol for no. Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out if I should move or not, because I can't sleep in my apartment anymore. I told the angels yesterday, show me a red one for no and a blue one for yes. And no, they did not. And you know what? I didn't think they would, because it gets a little tricky. You know, maybe they think I mean now and it's later. You know, it gets, you got to get specific. And I did say today. And I was in the forest too. And I like found like a huge footprint, like that looks like from an ostrich or something. like it's not Bigfoot, which is funny because Bigfoot was never my thing. But like maybe if I met him, you know, like,
Yeah.
but like it literally, I took a picture, it was the hugest footprint. And I'm like,
That's really, see, that's a sign of some sort. Like whenever you come across something unusual, I look at it as a sign. So like, what was on your mind when you were walking through the forest?
you know what, Lisa? Like, I love that you're asking that, but who the knows? Because I haven't slept in 2 months and I'm just trying to process sanity at this point. Like,
Yeah, I get it.
interview, to be honest. But like, let me think. What was really, it was honestly, well, when I walk the forest, I'm manifesting, which is probably a daydream. But basically, I try to keep on the goal of, hey, it's me a year from now. And like, what do I want to be then? You know,
Mhm.
I kind of fill in the details and I try to be as if that, you know, and I kind of
Mhm.
try to stay focused. So I constantly try to bring myself back to that. So in that particular, each part of the forest has its own, I'm so used to concentrating on different things in it. So at that point,
Yeah,
I was a little bit where I'm usually at in it. So, but interesting. What do you,
I would I would think maybe like think big, like if I saw something huge, I'd be like, oh, I got to think bigger. I got to think, large or something. So if I was maybe thinking about like, what should I do this year with my life or whatever, I would, and I saw something like that, my interpretation for myself would be like, I got to think bigger. I got to think big.
I love it.
I have like, or I have big shoes to fill or big something, I would think big.
Big, weird shoes to fill, like
Yeah.
big
Ostrich.
alien shoes.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, I honestly was like, that looks like a damn alien footprint. Like if they have feet, that's an alien footprint. And I was like, you know what? I don't have time for this right now.
That's awesome.
So unideal timing, because again, I'm like, universe, you're showing me this. I don't have
Yeah.
connections yet. Like I'm
Maybe
not like,
you have, maybe you have big helpers. Maybe you have big help from
oh, that's good. I like that. Like
another
big
realm.
ostrich helpers.
Yes.
Because that won't be terrifying.
Not at all.
Up to a gigantic bird that looks like a dinosaur of some sort.
Yeah.
And they're never,
Okay.
they never look happy.
No, they're not happy. They're mean. I got bit by one when I was a little kid.
Oh my God. It's so weird that I brought this up.
I'm traumatized now.
Which is interesting because I feel like I brought that Bigfoot thing up for a reason. It's like so weird that intuitively like in sync here, all this.
That's funny.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to I'm going to give you a dream, and then because guys, I'm only going to tell, this is an interesting one and it's short, but it's pretty deep. That's why I'm going to get into it. And I'm telling you this because she's very good at interpreting and all sorts of layers. And while you hear her, not only are you going to realize her expertise, but maybe how to do it for yourself. So basically what had happened was, without saying too much on air, a few months ago, me and my bestie had something happen to us that shook us both. And I loved her through it, but I was shaken. She was shaken. And a few days later, I had the most, I guess vivid is the word. It was like one of those real dreams. And basically, I remember like, it was like a Greek palace, like an open Greek white structure with the pillars. And, it started out in an amazing picture of both of us that actually does exist. But I remember she's usually, and in the picture, I remember she's like a diesel, like she's very sculpted, but in the dream, she was softer. And then it went from the picture into this, I went into this palace, and it was almost like a big party happened, like Gatsby threw a party, but everyone was out. And she's in the middle of this like king or queen bed. Okay. And she's upset. And I'm like going through this beautiful wreckage to get to her. And I was like, hey, and I have to be very mindful not to say her name, but basically, and I had so much love for her. I'm like, come on, let's go conquer the world. Let's seize the day, and she's so upset and like, and like her eyeliner smudged, and I still thought she was so beautiful. And she was like, no, I can't. And I was like, both of us in real life were pretty awakened compared to most people we knew, but we were eager to know more and more. We were that type, and I was like, you know, but we were always so grateful for what we knew. I'm like, we could do anything. Let's go. Let's seize the day. Almost like a metaphor in life. Like, who cares? Let's go. Let's go frolic around the world. Let's go have fun for the rest of our lives. And she was so upset. And I'm going to read you what I wrote about it. And basically, as I woke up, crying, by the way, the Smashing Pumpkins song was in my head throughout this whole dream called Disarm. You know,
Okay.
and that's the one
Mhm.
where, yeah, the chorus is like, the killer in me is the killer in you.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, you know, if you knew the real circumstance that happened prior, the word disarm is actually pretty significant. But and I never knew it was called that. I literally just woke up with those lyrics. And then when
Yeah, that's how cool dreams are.
that's how cool dreams are, because
Yeah.
I thought that was like, I thought I would know the name of that song because I know that song really well. And then when I looked up the
Mhm.
lyrics, I was like, I never knew it was called that.
Yeah.
So basically I labeled this. This happened Thursday, October 28th. The beautifully broken crown. So basically I said, I was under the impression that I was going into some sort of nostalgic state where I was somehow aware, oh my God, this is when me and my bestie first met, which was it was basically one of the early pictures of ourselves, you know,
Mhm.
which actually exists. Um, I went into a beautiful Greek looking open structure. The sun was shining, the weather was beautiful. It was all open. It seemed as if a party had taken place and was now over. I then saw her in the car, one of our first pics of that year when we met. She was softer than I remember. In real life, she had, you know, very sculpted arms. But in this, her arms were soft. She seemed younger, beautiful woman, and more natural in this dream, like I was seeing the real her. I still saw the real her, and it was beautiful. I thought she was beautiful. Back to the party place. Her eyeliner and everything was all smudged. Now I finally see what she means, or meant, when she didn't want to take pics or thought she didn't look good. I always thought she looked like a goddess. Now is the first time I see anything that could be interpreted as otherwise. However, still, she was so beautiful to me. I still saw her beauty, so much so that I was in a high vibe. I was so enchanted by her beauty, and I felt my higher self knew of her amazing essence, that I neglected to really be there in the way she needed me to. She seemed to be in pain, in transitional pain, and I thought I was seeing what it felt like she couldn't, which was, oh my God, she's a queen and she doesn't even know it. Look at this palace she lives in. Look how beautiful she is. Look how she's got it all. She's got it all under her fingertips. We are powerful. She is powerful. She's popular, well loved by many. And yet she's upset. She seems drained, upset, smudged eyeliner, broken crown. And me seeing all of this and knowing this will pass in her, or hoping it would, how could it? Look at all she has going for her. Seeing her divine light that she couldn't see at the time, I was sort of a bouncy ball, optimistic, saying, it's fine, let's seize the day. Look at all we have going for us. Let's go have fun, silly. A tear comes to my eye right now because I was ignoring her feelings out of love, of transferring her out of it. I was ignoring her heart in that moment. Yes, that could have been helpful. But in that moment, perhaps she needed me. She needed someone to be with in a way that was deeper. With her, listened, helped her, took it one step at a time, loved her back to health, piece by piece. Piece by piece. My heart hurts for this. However, I must exercise loving understanding of myself, for I deserve it and I must love myself. Dare I say, more than I love others? I always loved others more, and yet others are variables, moving variables that can change, shift at any time, leaving me with nothing but empty cups of when I gave love to them, and nothing left for me. I have learned that the more logical thing to do at this point is to put the love within myself, pour love into myself, pour all the love I didn't get in childhood into the wounds and vast and deep voids left from them to fill my own cup. As that dream may have many layers of truth in many directions, I think it should be true to me as well. Perhaps I neglected parts of myself. Perhaps in me trying the law of attraction coach me out of ish. I neglected parts of me that were and are in severe pain, that it's okay to look at them, to be with her. That part of me that can't see and be in the royalty I am, that we are. And even though everything looks okay from the outside, there's stuff to be tended to on the inside. It's okay for me to be with her. Like, it's almost like I was just trying to snap her out of it. But like, I think she needed me, in a way that I wasn't doing, to her, love her, give her what she needs as she figures that out, so that she may see and be in all she is and shine her divine rays of light, love and light. Now, while I'm typing this, I'm thinking of the version of my friend I saw in the dream, because that allows me to access the love since I had and still have for her. But we are all one. If I can love it in her, I can love it in me. If that is a part of me, then I can love her back to health. It's not as outside of me as I think. Why wouldn't I deserve it just as much as the love I have for her? I will channel the love I have for her to the parts of myself that never got it. Never had someone had the patience to put me back together patiently, and through time, love grows. Through each second, experience, day, moment, year, love grows as healing happens, piece by piece, which either spelling would work for peace. But yeah,
Yes.
I didn't realize how long that was. I really thought it was like a page. Apologies. But in other words, I woke up like soaked in tears for so much love for her. I mean, I already had so much love for her in real life, but this was like our real souls. And I just had so much love for her that I had to write this. And I was just streaming tears the whole time. She has no idea. And
I was going to ask if you'd shared that with her or not.
No. Yeah, and it was so interesting. I woke up with that Smashing Pumpkins song in my head, and it was like, the killer in me is the killer in you. And yeah, that's what I came out with. But I'm just curious, if someone were to decode a dream, how it would go.
I think you did a really good job with your own, because you gave it so much thought. But I'll take you through the process that we use when we're sharing dreams, like in a group setting, kind of like this with other people, so that other people can kind of hear how it goes. And maybe we'll find out more, but I don't want to dive into what I think until we go through the actual process. So you already gave it a title, which is the first thing we usually ask the dreamer.
That's so weird. I didn't know.
Yeah, I feel like you did everything already.
Oh my God, that's great. I literally just went to a computer and just wrote for a minute, and this is what came out. Okay.
It was perfect. It's perfect.
Okay.
So yeah, you gave it a title, which was the Beautiful Broken Crown.
Yeah, Beautifully Broken Crown.
Beautifully. My handwriting's terrible. I always take notes and it's really bad.
It's okay. That's originally what's typed on the page. I just changed it. You're just intuitive.
Yeah, that's what it is. So yeah, the title always helps to, this is the same process I go through when I'm interpreting or trying to work with my own dreams. And the title always helps me to get it down, kind of narrowed down into one sentence, so that you're already starting to like break it down. And then you would tell the dream, which you did beautifully, and how you felt when you woke up. And you said you were crying. So were you upset, or was it a different feeling?
Yeah. So it was like tears of love. Like, I really felt so much love for her. I think, her and I always thought we were soulmates of some type. So I think that dream kind of confirmed it for me, is what it felt like. So it was like, it's like, we always thought that, we always felt it. And then the dream like magnified it. It was like, oh my God, like a sisterhood or something more.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
and then we ask, what is it specifically that we want to know about the dream? Like, what specifically do you want me to focus on? Like, do you have a specific question about it?
Unfortunately, I happen to pick a private kind of dream that I didn't share. But if I gave you another one, which other people will come up in interviews that I don't care what we do with them, and they're way more motivational, then maybe I could come up with something. But because
that's okay.
Yeah, on air,
Yeah, and that can happen when you're in a group of dreamers too. Like, some people might not want to share certain things, so that's totally fine.
Well, no, you, I'm great, but I don't, God forbid, I don't want to, hurt somebody else's privacy. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I totally get it. 100%.
Yeah.
But let's just say, for example, one of the things you might want to know is like, what's with the bed? Was there any significance to the queen bed or the
Yeah,
song
like
that I heard?
like the whole thing where she lived in a structure and it looked gorgeous. Like what?
Mhm.
I mean, I feel like I know this, but go ahead.
I'm sure you know it. So then after you do all those steps as the dreamer, the other dreamers in the group would offer their if it were my dream suggestions. So when we phrase it, like I would phrase my answer to you is, if this were my dream, I would think this, because it's less like intrusive. No one can tell you what your dreams mean except for you. So we don't want to try to tell people what their dreams mean, because we don't know. We have no idea. A castle to you is different than what a castle is to me, because we have different lives. We have different backgrounds with castles. Not that I have any background with castles, but
it's true. Although
then I would tell you.
Yeah.
Oh,
Although I feel, how some people are a little bit medium-y and they could kind of see how it means to you, but then you never know how muddy that is with your own interpretation as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, sometimes it's helpful when you don't know the dreamer at all, or the situation at all. Sometimes you come up with better insights that way. And it's very helpful to hear other types of people's feedback to your dream too, like completely different types of people that don't know anything about you, because they'll see it from a completely different angle that you wouldn't have thought of, So it's always nice to have feedback on your dreams, I think. So for me, as I'm like listening to you tell this, you wrote it out so beautifully. You pretty much said everything that I would have said. But I'm seeing specifically with how beautiful this area was. Like when I think of structures and buildings and houses, I think of like for me personally, a house to me is like my body. Like it's what I live in. It's my, my shell, if you per se, So if it's in a really nice condition, that's a good sign for my health. And if it's like deteriorating or falling into a river or on stilts and it's all weird, because I've had these before, I might want to start looking into my health issues to see like what might be up there. And I think you really nailed it, because what I would have said if it were mine, I would try to see what about her is reflected of me. So is it possible that I'm seeing myself as a lot softer than I am, or a lot different than what I am? Like maybe I deserve to treat myself more like a queen than I am. So personally for me, not knowing like the situation between the two of you, I would look at it more about what's going on with me and what's reflecting of her in me.
Oh my God, that just clarified a lot. Yeah.
I'm just looking through my notes here. The fact that, you were just taken aback by her beauty, that says a lot about what you think of your friend, which is beautiful stuff. It's really great, positive stuff. But it also says a lot about what you would see in yourself too, that you're just not letting yourself see. So sometimes dreams give us that gift of, like you're stepping outside of your human body for a second to see it from a different perspective. So you can like picture maybe like your higher self or your deeper self, views you that way. Of course it does. Gosh, I wish Christina sure understood how beautiful she was,
Wow. Yeah.
Your higher self, your source thinks of you that way. So maybe for a second there, you got to see that, like that song, Disarmed. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, Disarmed by Smashing Pumpkins.
Yeah, it's like seeing what you look like when you're disarmed, when you're softer, when you're not so hard around the edges.
Yes.
So those would be my initial thoughts just from hearing the story right here. But I think you nailed it. Like, I feel like you really thought deep about it and you came up with a lot of good insights there in your journal.
Thank you so much. If it's okay, I'm just going to pause for 1 second. There's a hurricane outside and my window is open.
Oh no.
All right, 1 second. Okay, we're back.
So then I just wanted to mention the last step of like working with the dream. And this, what I just went through is called the lightning Dreamwork process.
Wow.
Where you give it a title, you tell the dream, you ask questions like what specifically you want to know. The feelings of the dream when you wake up are always really important to think about. Then you do the if it were my dream interpretations. And then the last step is to ask the dreamer. So I would ask you, if you have an action plan on what to do with the dream moving forward. So this brings it into active dreaming, which is actually working with our dreams and bringing them into this world somehow. And some things you could do is just, write it out and share it like you just did. Or you could do some artwork on it, or you could share the dream with, if you felt like it, with the person you had it about. Or you can just make a little like bumper sticker, like sum it all up. Now that you know like more about it, like sum it all up into one phrase. So if you had to think about like how you would bring it into this world, which you kind of already have because you shared it with us, is there anything special you would do?
Yeah, I think you pretty much nailed it when you deciphered it. That's pretty much what
Yeah.
I had to do. Yeah.
Yeah. I would think like if it were my dream, and I was like, oh man, yeah, I got to show myself some love, maybe I would do that. Maybe I would like give myself a manicure if I did that. I don't do that, but I would treat myself like a queen for a day.
Yeah.
Honor
Like
that.
the idea is implanted, like, oh, got it. And I actually don't do anything. Like,
Yeah, I understand that.
it's like, who has time for that?
I know who does, honestly.
Okay.
Excellent.
So you mentioned, so I want to ask you, sleep paralysis. What is it and how can we either get out of it or avoid it?
It would be nice to avoid it, right? That can be scary. So it's actually it's common. I mean, it happens to all of us. It's just that we're usually asleep during it. And it's what happens when your body falls asleep, but you haven't fallen asleep yet. So it's also a very hypnagogic zone type of thing. And it can happen on the reverse when you're just waking up too. So it can either happen as you're falling asleep or when you're waking up. And it's almost just like some wires get crossed in your brain and your consciousness, and you're awake to experience your body falling asleep. And it can be terrifying because you can see things that people are, I don't want to freak anybody out, but they're always like, oh, it was a dream. But sometimes you're in that liminal state where you're seeing into another world. So it might not always be a dream. One thing I could suggest, if you believe in spirit guides or angels, if this happens to you a lot, is to ask for their help. So if you're conscious enough to realize like, oh my God, it's happening again, and there's an alien in my doorways, or whatever it is that you're seeing, and you can't breathe and you can't move, is to just ask for help to get through it. And usually that does the trick.
You're so on point, because that's exactly what I realized, that I wrote down about something else in another interview with us in the future. But yeah, that same thing helps me. Like for me, everybody's different and I'm open to all different things. But for me, it's like when I reach out to Jesus, for me, like it that's what helps,
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it gives you the strength that you need to get through it. If you're really into dream work, you could use it as like a gateway into a lucid dream too, because that's your cue. Like, oh, my body's sleeping, but I'm not. I can just get up and walk around. So if you're like trained in the ways of dream work, I'm not this good. Like, I can't just get up and walk around, but I know people who can. I know people who deal with it that way.
Oh my God,
you just like, I'm just going to roll out of my body then and just get on with it. And
I love it. And you just prompted an unscripted question. So when I was younger, I had a thing with sleepwalking. Is that what is that? What's that about?
Yeah, I've never slept walked, but it's about the same thing, because you're acting out a dream. It's almost the opposite. It's almost the opposite of that hypnagogic state or the sleep paralysis, because your mind is dreaming, but your body's moving. So as opposed to the other one we were just talking about, your body's asleep, but your mind is awake. So you're like actually up and active and walking and walking out dreams. Like, so once when I was in college, this was a little bit scary. I was on my way home from the bar. So it was like 3 a.m. or something. And there was this little kid in the middle of the road in his pajamas, no shoes. It's cold outside. And he's just walking around by himself. And I was like, oh my God. Like, and this was a while ago. I had a cell phone, but I couldn't use it for some reason. Like, I don't know if it was out of service or what, because I went to college in this really wooded area. And so I didn't know what to do. And I got up and the kid was acting super weird. I got out of my car and he was acting like crazy. And I didn't want to scare him because he looked like he was sleepwalking. So I stumbled upon this sleepwalker, this little boy. He couldn't have been older than 10. And I had to try to figure out what to do with him without a cell phone working. So
Because
I
what
like,
year? Like
I didn't
what,
want to put him in my car. I didn't
what
want to
year
look
was
like I was
this?
kidnapping
Like,
him.
yeah, no, what year was
Oh
this
gosh,
too?
this would have been the early 2000s. Very
Yeah, so
early
cell
2000s.
phones back then, because I remember, were like literally walkie-talkies.
Yeah, they were. They had antennas, and the flip
Yes.
phone was just a piece of plastic that covered the keys.
The I-90, and then you literally did a walkie-talkie thing, and then like you
Yeah.
can't text anybody because if you texted hi, it would take like 5 years.
Yeah. At least
Yeah.
I gotta hit the three times and this 5 times. And then, So I ended up like walking with him in the road and knocking on doors just to see if I could figure out where he came from and get someone to like call the police to get them to come. And then while I was doing that, his parents showed up because they were frantically driving around looking for him and started giving me crap. And I'm like, look, I'm just trying to help you. I didn't run him over. You're welcome.
Yeah, I know. It's so weird. Whenever anyone gets within like a 500-mile radius of a kid, even if you're trying to help, everyone's like, it's like,
I
what?
know.
We're all supposed to ignore the kid that's lost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's scary stuff because what do you do? That kid and apparently does it all the time. That's how they knew to go look around in the neighborhood because he just gets up and walks outside and leaves the house and
I feel like, yeah, and I feel like it's more common in kids.
Yeah, I feel like it. I wonder if that has something to do with kids being more tied to the dream world and being more in between worlds. They haven't quite grown up yet.
I'm starting to wonder that too, because I was like the kind of kid that saw her like deceased parent. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Which I think we all kind of were. It's just at what point is that shut down?
Yeah, and it's sad because it does. Yeah, I can pinpoint the exact time it happened to me too. Like I watched your video, so I know what your exact moment. When you started to grow up and grow up. I should put in quotes. But yeah, when you started to be like unprogrammed, almost deprogrammed to like not believe in that stuff anymore.
Well,
I remember mine too. Like we all have a moment when it happens.
Or it was like it's taught that it's like the last thing you want to do is hurt your mom, and they're like,
yeah,
you telling your mom that your dad's still around is hurting her. I'm like, what?
Yeah, you don't know that. You actually don't know that.
Don't we literally learn this in church? Don't we go to church to hear this? And now that it's happening, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm wondering if I should save this next question for other interviews because we covered a lot in this one already. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, so what I'm going to do is give you one last question, and then we're going to go into some other fun things after.
Oh boy.
Yes, guys, this is me and Lisa's sleepover dream segment. This is one of 4, and we are just warming up, and each one gets better and better. So there are going to be amazing other questions in other videos, but for now, Lisa, do you have any lasting or best advice you can give to people on this topic? And I want you to answer that after you answer what has been your craziest dream experience. My craziest dream experience
is I have so many. It's really hard for me to pick. Yeah. But I think the craziest is the craziest because it has a lot of elements to it. So it was a dream of the departed. It was a dream of a friend of mine that had passed away. That then led me on this like daytime adventure where there were like real life results from it. So it like meshes the worlds together,
Yeah.
And I don't have it in front of me, but I named the dream. I think I named it Annie's Fake Funeral. So in the dream, and it's short, but in the dream, my friend Annie, she was my friend when I was growing up. Just a quick backstory. She was like my best friend in elementary school. So we grew up together, and then we kind of lost touch as friends sometimes do. Like I went and I was in band and I became a nerd, and she had her, different set of friends that weren't nerds. So we kind of just, we were friends still, but we weren't best friends like we were in elementary school. So when we grew up together, we used to play around the neighborhood. She lived up the road from me, and we walked to school together and whatnot. So in my dream, we were running around our neighborhood, and we were, I think we were adults in the dream. We weren't kids. And we were just goofing around and talking about stuff. And she's like, I have this great idea. I'm going to fake my death. It's going to be great. You know, and we're laughing about it. I was like, that's so stupid. Why would you do that? Like, what? That's so dumb. Like, don't do that. And we're just goofing around. And then she's gone. And then I'm on the phone with her. So now I'm talking to her on the phone in a dream, which on a side note is like, when you dream of departed loved ones, often they're on the phone. Often it's a phone call. Phones and dead people somehow go together in dreams. It just seems to be a common thing. Wow. So then I'm on the phone with her. And in my dream, I'm not realizing that, she's dead. I'm just thinking, this is my friend Annie, whatever. And we're running around having a good time. So I'm on the phone with her telling her about how I just met LeVar Burton from reading Rainbow and it was awesome. And she's like, oh, enough about that. Are you going to come to my fake funeral? Like, it's going to be in the graveyard and it's at this place. And she's telling me exactly like where it's going to be. And I saw, as she's telling me, I see in my head like a map of the area in the graveyard where she's going to hold her fake funeral. And I was like, no, I'm not going to go to that. That's stupid or whatever. And I asked her if she was going to go. And then the line went dead and I woke up. Wow. And when I woke up, I was just like, oh, that was really silly. Like, why would I dream that? Like, that's just really silly. And then, you become more aware in this world again. And I'm like, oh man, she died 2 years ago. Like, very surprisingly, like she just died 2 years ago. And she is dead. So then I'm starting to interpret this dream in my head as like, oh, this was a visit. This was a visitation.
Yes.
And the image that I had in my head where she was saying her fake funeral was going to be, I was wondering, is this where she's buried? Because reality check. Oh, that's one thing I forgot to tell you in the lightning dreamwork process. We've missed a whole step, which was the reality check, which you gave yours though. So I think that's probably why I didn't ask. But usually you ask about a reality check, like what's your relationship with this person or whatever. So what was I just saying? I was going to tell the reality check.
It was like, you were like, are you going to your fake funeral? And then the line went dead.
Oh yeah. And then the line went dead. And then, then I wake up and I'm like, oh yeah, no, she really is. She passed away. And the reality check is I didn't go to her funeral when she died. I was a little awkward and I hadn't seen her in forever. And we were still friends on Facebook and stuff like that. But I was like, I'm not ready for the feelings that are going to come up when I do this. Like, she was my childhood best friend. This is going to be really tough to face. She was only like 40 years old when she died. And so I knew what graveyard she was buried in, but I never went to the funeral. I never went and found her grave. And this was on my mind when I had the dream. Not that I asked the dream for any questions. I didn't like incubate the dream, but it had been on my mind lately. So to me, this dream was a gift. It was Annie not only saying, I'm not dead. That's so silly. That fake funeral. Yeah. That fake funeral. It's fake. I'm not dead. It's so silly. It's
I love
fake.
it. Yeah. Cause it
was really good to like see like, her talking about that way. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I have a map in my head. I'm going to go see. I'm going to go look and see. Is this where her fake funeral? Is this where her fake gravesite is? Fake because she's not really dead. And I went to the graveyard. Long story short, I was like putzing around that graveyard forever looking like a creep looking for this thing. But I didn't want to ask where it was because I wanted to find it on my own through the dream. And I ended up having to ask because it was like, it turns out it was a really small, out of the way place. But when I found it and I looked around, I was like, this is it. This is the spot. This is exactly the spot in my dream that I saw when she was talking on the phone with me in the dream. Like when I actually found her gravesite, it was the place that she had told me about.
And you've never been there?
I'd never been there. I'd been to the graveyard because it's in the middle of my town, but I'd never been to, it's huge. And I've never been to her like gravesite before. I had no idea where it was in there.
Wow.
So she basically told me in a dream where it was and how to get there. And that not to worry about it because it's all fake anyway,
Oh my God.
So that's probably one of the craziest dream experiences I had.
Yeah.
Because it dealt with, a departed loved one and it dealt with bringing knowledge from a dream into the world. So.
Oh my God. I have a similar experience, but I'm going to save it because one of our interviews is going to be solely about other side communication and dreams. So,
awesome.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Oh my God, Lisa, thank you so much. And just to remind everyone still with us where to find you, that'd be great.
Oh yeah, the Dreamwork Coach, thedreamworkcoach.com, or my YouTube channel, the Dreamwork Coach. Come over and visit. I have a ton of videos on Dreamwork and how to interpret dreams, how to remember dreams, how to do all kinds of stuff.
Amazing, amazing. And guys, stay tuned for the next 3 episodes regarding this. We're going to be dealing with other side communication in dreams, astral traveling, multi-dimensional travel and family in dreams, portals into the other realities, precognitive dreams, recurring dreams, many, 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 many things. And they're probably going to be airing every Thursday at 3. And if anybody would like to donate to this channel, the link is in the description box. Also, if anybody would like a session with me or anything like that, link in the description box. But until next time, guys, keep living the dream, which is what I'm doing right now with no sleep. But yeah, we'll see you guys soon. Stay tuned. It's going to be even more amazing episodes coming up with Lisa.
Yay.